Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this National Theatre platform on the Lehman Trilogy. I'm delighted to welcome to the stage these three wonderful actors who make the show happen. Simon Russell Beale, Adam Godley, and and Ben Miles. Most of us here will know the name Lehman Brothers from the crash 10 years ago, when that huge investment bank went down and there was a massive global economic crisis. And we remember those pictures of the employees coming out onto the streets with the boxes. And we might have come to the theatre expecting you to explain that, to explain what happened just before the crash.
And we stopped just before. Yeah.
What a shame, yes. Get into the nitty-gritty of collateralized debt obligations and all that. And in fact, if you look at the set, that's what you see. You do something very different.
Actually, explain the box. You're right, that the image that we all remember is the employees coming out carrying their boxes. And of course, for those of you who haven't seen the play, that's sort of all we use. This is the office that we play in. And early on, we decided that we'd try and use everything that was only things that were in the office. Principally, these boxes. So, in fact, funny enough, the boxes have become, in our play, something more than just being carried at the end by the sacked or the people who've lost their jobs. But we still, to answer the question about the crisis, I couldn't explain to you the crisis if you paid me a lot of money. And I have watched The Big Short and I have done my stuff, but luckily the play stops just at the moment of the crash. You know, I personally find it very moving that these three men who we first meet in the play, the three young brothers, came over and were working as, Henry, the oldest brother, worked as a travelling salesman. I don't think he even had a shop. They're not even sure whether he had a cart, if you read the biography of the Lehman family. So, he was really, really didn't have any money at all. And then the three of them gradually built, within 70 years, they were building the Panama Canal. It's an astonishing story by any moral standards.
Do you think, Ben, it's a good time now for a longer look? We've had 10 years. We've had 10 years of people grappling with what on earth happened in the crash, why it went wrong, whether we reacted in the right way, all that stuff. Do you think it's time now to stand further back? Is that what the playoff is?
I think it's sort of inevitable that it's the 10th anniversary of the crash of 2008 coming up.
Unbelievable, so, really, isn't it?
Yeah, there's that perspective that one has on this play, and there's that context in which this play is being performed. So yeah, I think it's time to sort of look and examine that story. But like you're saying, Simon, one of the many things I like about this play is it shows you the people involved. It reminds you that any great event in history is really just people reacting as well as they can to either a disaster or a great opportunity. And this, as you say, Adam, it tells a very human story about these three brothers that came over to America with very, very little and just tried to get on. And the extraordinary thing is that this family did get on in such a hugely influential way. The things they did in America in the late 19th and 20th century is incredible for this one family.
Yeah, just following this family, you basically see the emergence of the railways, the emergence of the movie business, don't you?
So this is, I guess, it's
as they shift and move.
Yeah, this is it's another angle on. It's another way of looking at the whole world of economics and investment banking and big business, and what happened in the crash of 2008. It's a very fresh sort of viewpoint on that whole subject. Funnily enough, I think it deals with the 2008 crash in a very clever way. When there's a section of the play that deals with the great crash of 1929, and all the conversations that the characters are having at that time in the play, you could transplant those conversations right forward to 2008. They're talking about the same things, the same means of survival, the same dog-eat-dog atmosphere, the same terror, the same hopes, the same... It's the same atmosphere, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So in a way, you do get a glimpse of how and why a great economic crash happens. But in this show, you see that through the lens of the great crash of
Yeah.
1929.
And Massini sort of chose to approach it from this sort of human, personal, a family angle, and introduced a kind of spiritual element into it as well. The brothers are Jewish, and there are references throughout to their religion and how that they sort of lost a connection with that. So I think his focus on that is another sort of interesting element in the play that you perhaps wouldn't expect coming to see a play about the world of finance.
It's not a lesson in morals, it's not a lesson in economics, it's not a lesson in ethics. It's a transparent personal story about three brothers and what they achieved as this entity, as this sort of Lehman Brothers entity.
A character play called Philip is very interesting, obviously for me because I'm playing him. But it's sort of when the business becomes an international, he starts the internationalization of the business really. But as Sarah points out, there's a point when he goes, the commodity that we deal with is not cotton, it's not coal, it's not railways, it's money to make more money. And that is a turning point. But as Ben says, that's one of many. I mean, you could argue that the moment when they leave their little shop in Alabama to go and start being middlemen, the invention of the middleman, the buying and reselling of cotton, that could be the moment when it becomes you're not producing anything.
And if there's a theme there, it's one about disconnection, moments of disconnection, whether from other people or from a commodity or from your spirituality or your community. And those moments happen throughout the play, and the more and more disconnected you become.
You three play the three brothers, the three Israel brothers, and everybody else, including, little children, crying babies, elderly rabbis, beautiful blushing brides, several of you, very, very demure maids, all, just... how many characters altogether? Do we ever tot them up?
No idea.
But
I mean, some of them last a line.
why? Could the National Theatre not afford a proper cast? When did that happen? Why did you decide? Sorry, we should say it's Sam Mendes' fault, actually.
Actually, I was there when this started, because about a year ago, I think it was about a year ago, we did a workshop of this play in the studio, which is quite a regular process the National does. And we got about 15 people, I think. And we did 2 days of workshop on it, and we couldn't find a vocabulary for doing it. We felt uncomfortable. We were trying to, I can't quite describe it. It didn't sort of click as we were miming trading floors or miming New York, whatever. It just wasn't quite working. And by the end of the second day, and it was partly a selfish thing on my part because I was reading Henry. I had no prospect of necessarily playing Henry in the eventual production at that stage. But I remember thinking, Henry dies on page 20. It's a crap part. Anyway, so there was that though, and I said to Sam, you could do it with you could do it with one, I said, which was a ludicrous idea. But with three actors of whatever sex and whatever type and shape, because then you get three people having a fantastic time rather than 20 people getting rather bored. And literally that's what I said. Because if you're playing, Babette, who I play in this, who says nothing and then disappears, it's not a great offer. So there was a sort of practical reason, but I also thought, I wonder whether there is a way of emotionally making it more powerful that we see the whole play through these three brothers. Anyway, Sam went away for about a year and then came back about 6 months later and phoned up. He was going to do it with 6, I think. He was going to do 2 generations and then took away through to let's do it with 3, see what happens. So the burden on us, Ben, or the excitement for us, was then, yes, as Sarah says, we we have to play everybody. And what I find very exciting is that I say to the audience, I'm not going to change anything in my look. I will still be a slightly overweight, bearded 57-year-old, but you will believe that I'm an 18-year-old virgin from Alabama. because I believe it. And we all have to do that, and I find that really exciting. When you see Adam coming round the corner here being Pauline Sondheim, and you think, he's Pauline Sondheim. And there she is in all her glory. And I think that's a very exciting acting challenge.
The rehearsal was about, a lot of it was about discovering what we didn't need to tell the story, because we started off with more. There was going to be a tightrope walker at one point, going across the stage, the audience. And there was a point where we figured, actually, we don't need that. Better to have Simon pretend.
Simon.
Yeah,
So
which is a good rule of life, actually.
Simon is an expert tightrope walker. He's just... Final very quick question. Do you have a favorite, not the three original brothers, do you have a favorite character of your multiple other characters you play?
Of the others or of our own?
No, that you play.
I'm quite enjoying at the moment playing the mute sidekick to the governor of Alabama.
Does he have a nasty piece of work?
He's a
Does he have a name?
He's a nasty piece
I don't know his name. Maybe we should have a competition for a name.
Take a straw poll.
But he just leans in the doorway and eyeballs Maya for a full 10 minutes.
Maya's quite cute at that point, so I get it.
Yeah. He's quite... He's
What about
checking
you,
Maya
Adam?
out. He's my favourite at the moment.
I enjoy them all for different reasons. I know that's a kind of a useless answer, but...
What about the radio? Do you enjoy playing the radio?
I like Laura Roth.
Oh, she's fabulous.
There.
She's
you probably don't know who that is, but I know who it is, and I enjoy playing her. Yeah.
She's the potential bride of Philip. She's one of the list of
yes,
brides.
you play all these brides.
And she laughs too much.
Yeah.
She's great fun.
Yeah.
But she's obviously a nightmare to live
And
with.
she's based on someone I know who doesn't know that it's based on someone I... Don't tell that person that.
It's out live on Twitter, you do know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I think probably the rabbi. And I love the rabbi. But I love the Irish maid. I'm sorry it's boring. Like Adam, I just love them all.
I think the Irish maid who knows.
But what I really enjoyed, in fact, funny enough mentioning Ben saying, there's a very funny look between the governor of Alabama and his sidekick, which lasts all of, 3 seconds. It's when Maya says, you owned a plantation once. And you think, in that, it's only seconds long, but the idea of that history of what that might have been. And Adam made me laugh last night on stage, because there's one bit where literally the character lasts one line of one of the board members at the morning of... how can we close for a period of mourning?
Yeah.
And it's literally just one line and then he's gone. And I think that's terribly funny that these characters last
Seconds.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we could sit here all day, I think, and talk to these three wonderful actors. And thank you very much for your questions, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you again.